What happens when the legal system recommends a mere one-day sentence, while the judge delivers nearly 3 years behind bars? That divide lies at the heart of the Breonna Taylor case, a story of reckoning, reform, and unresolved justice that continues to echo 5 years after the tragic no-knock raid. The night that changed everything. Breonna Taylor, 26, was asleep in her apartment in Louisville, Kentucky, on the night of March 13, 2020. Alongside her was her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. Unbeknownst to them, a team of plainclothes Louisville Metro Police Department officers were preparing to serve a no-knock search warrant at her apartment. The warrant was linked to a narcotics investigation targeting her ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover. Importantly, Taylor herself was not a suspect in any criminal activity. Shortly after midnight, officers used a battering ram to force their way into the apartment. Whether they announced themselves as police is still disputed. Kenneth Walker, believing they were being robbed, fired a single shot from his legally owned firearm, striking Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly in the leg. Officers responded with a hail of bullets. Over 30 shots were fired. Miles Cosgrove, according to the FBI, fired the fatal shot that killed Breonna Taylor. Brett Hankison, another officer, blindly shot through a covered window and sliding glass door, endangering the lives of Taylor's neighbors. No drugs were found in the apartment. Taylor was hit by multiple bullets and died at the scene. She received no medical attention for over 20 minutes after being shot, as police focused on extracting their wounded colleague. The scene, according to witness statements and 911 calls, was chaotic and terrifying. Her death ignited national outrage, initial fallout, and public uproar. The initial public narrative from law enforcement was murky and misleading. It took months of media investigation and community protest for the full truth to emerge. Taylor's name gained national prominence during the summer of 2020, amid widespread protests following the murder of George Floyd. "Say Her Name" became a rallying cry, highlighting the stories of black women killed by police, often overlooked in public discourse. Louisville soon became the epicenter of protests, sit-ins, and national media attention. Amid this pressure, Mayor Greg Fisher fired Louisville Metro Police Department Chief Steve Conrad and agreed to a $12 million settlement with Taylor's family in September 2020. The settlement was one of the largest ever in the country for a black woman killed by police, and it came with a promise to enact police reforms. One of the biggest legislative responses was Breonna's Law, passed first in Louisville and later at the state level in Kentucky. This law banned no-knock warrants statewide and mandated the use of body cameras during the execution of all search warrants. Other cities and states followed suit, reevaluating or banning similar police practices. State trials and lack of charges for Breonna's death. Despite public pressure, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron failed to charge any officer for Taylor's death itself. Instead, only Brett Hankison was charged, and not for killing Taylor, but for wanton endangerment related to the bullets that entered a neighboring apartment. In March 2022, Hankison was acquitted by a jury, sparking another wave of protests. To the disbelief of many, neither Miles Cosgrove nor Jonathan Mattingly faced any state criminal charges, with prosecutors arguing that their use of force was justified under Kentucky's self-defense laws. Essentially, because Kenneth Walker had fired first, the officer's return fire was considered legally permissible, even if it resulted in the death of an unarmed woman. Federal charges bring renewed hope. In August 2022, the U.S. Department of Justice stepped in with a sweeping indictment. They charged 4 current and former LMPD officers with federal civil rights violations, obstruction, and conspiracy. These charges were not just about the shooting, but about the lead up to it. Prosecutors revealed that officers had lied on the affidavit used to obtain the search warrant, including falsely claiming that a postal inspector had verified Taylor was receiving packages for her ex-boyfriend. No such verification ever occurred. One officer, Detective Kelly Goodlett, pleaded guilty and admitted to helping falsify the warrant and then covering up the lie after Taylor's death. The remaining officers, Joshua Janes, Kyle Meany, and Brett Hankison, pleaded not guilty. Hankison faced a federal jury in 2023, but the trial ended in a hung jury. He was retried in late 2024 and finally convicted in November of violating Taylor's civil rights by recklessly firing into her apartment. The DOJ's one-day memo sparks outrage. With Hankison finally convicted, it appeared justice had turned a corner. But in July 2025, a new controversy erupted. The Department of Justice submitted a memo recommending just a single day of prison time, followed by supervised release. The rationale: Hankison didn't fire the fatal shot, and he no longer posed a threat. The memo was signed by political appointees from the Trump-aligned Justice Department, but notably, none of the prosecutors who tried the case in court. The reaction was swift and condemning. Civil rights groups called it a slap in the face. Tamika Palmer, Breonna's mother, said the federal prosecutors had abandoned her daughter. Media outlets questioned whether political pressure had influenced the DOJ's actions. Judge rejects DOJ leniency and imposes real sentence. On July 21, 2025, U.S. District Judge Rebecca Grady Jennings rejected the DOJ's recommendation in no uncertain terms. She sentenced Brett Hankison to 33 months in federal prison and an additional 3 years of supervised release. In her ruling, she said the DOJ's reversal from aggressive prosecution to extreme leniency was a 180-degree turn that she could not support. She noted that while Hankison did not kill Taylor, his reckless actions created deadly circumstances that cost a woman her life and terrified innocent neighbors. This sentence marked the first time any officer faced serious consequences for Taylor's death, albeit still less than many expected. A mixed legacy. While Breonna Taylor's name has become synonymous with demands for justice, the actual legal outcomes remain uneven. Only one officer has faced any prison time, and even then, not for Taylor's death itself, but for violating her civil rights. Meanwhile, officers like Miles Cosgrove, who fired the fatal shot, were never indicted or disciplined beyond being fired from the department. Still, the cultural impact of Taylor's death has been profound. Her story reshaped how Americans talk about police accountability, particularly for Black women. It inspired art, documentaries, public murals, and academic scholarships. The WNBA dedicated its 2020 season to Taylor and other victims of police violence. Musicians, athletes, and activists worldwide invoked her name to call attention to the broader issues her case represented. Where do we go from here? Breonna Taylor's death, and the 5-year legal odyssey that followed, is a mirror reflecting both how far we've come and how far we still have to go. Her case has driven important legal reforms, but also revealed the resilience of institutional resistance. When a young Black woman is killed in her own home during a failed raid, and the most anyone is sentenced to is 33 months, what does that say about how we value life and liberty? Her name is still being said, her story is still being told, and for many, the fight for real justice in her name is far from over. And that's the story of Breonna Taylor. One woman, one tragic night, and a justice system still trying to catch up to the truth. So what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone, and I want to hear from you. If this video helped you understand the case better, give it a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button. Until next time, stay curious, stay loud, and as always, say her name.